what's going on, guys? Tony here, CCxRC, and today in this video we're going to be looking at how I built these ramps for my RC monster trucks. A lot of you guys are getting the Losi LMT and you're asking about how we're building these ramps for them because you're seeing all the cool tricks we're doing, backflip to moonwalks, just backflipping it over and over and over. And that's what these are perfect for, big air, backflips, all that kind of stuff. Got this smaller one to just give it little kicks. So you can get a little quick pop and do slap wheelies, that kind of thing off of it. You can hit it in a wheelie to go into a front flip. There's all kinds of things that you can do with these. So we're going to show you in this video the supplies that I use to build these, one that I'm working on, and we're going to go ahead. I've already been cutting out some stencils of these to get some measurements and all that for you guys. But we'll take a look at the design of this. We'll build one. And basically, guys, I faked it till I made it, and it worked. So I didn't want to show the design when I first built them. A lot of you were asking why I didn't make videos of it. Well, I didn't know that they were going to work. So especially this one, I wasn't sure how well it would work. But in the end, I'm digging how it turned out. Gets nice backflips off it. This is what I call my J Concepts backflip ramp. It's got these old clodbuster tires in it. So when you get yourself the new J Concepts wheels for your clods, you take those old Tamiya ones and you shove them in there and make a backflip ramp. So yeah, let's go ahead. We'll look at the supplies and the tools that I'm using to make these, and then we'll get into building one of them and just looking at how these were built, the ones that are done as well. So let's do it. All right, so I try to keep this as cheap and lightweight as possible to make it easy to carry around with me if I want to take it places and run it, or if I want to put it in the front yard, backyard, whatever. But also because I clean mine up and put them away in the shed after running because I don't want them to get ruined out in the elements. So whenever it's going to rain, I usually take them indoors. I'm using, to start with, a piece of, it's like an underlayment piece of plywood. It's very thin and it's pliable. And the reason that I did this is so I can get the curve that goes on the back side of these. So I have a larger piece of it right back here behind all of these. Buy it in a 4x8 sheet. I had them just rip it down into 4x4 sections that I could easily carry in my car. Made it a lot easier. 2x4 here, we're using this as the top piece of our ramps, the backflip ramps, and it gives a nice little squared off top to it. 1x10 and 1x8 boards. I only have the 1x10s here. I'm out of the 1x8 at the moment. I used it in the other builds, but it's a really great size board. 1x3s right here. These are what I'm using for my supports behind the jump. And then I did go ahead and I spray painted everything on the inside black because this is untreated, just common board. I did have to go ahead and spray paint it to kind of protect it a little bit from being outside in the weather. And then we just painted it to be like Monster Jam. There's different colors that they use at the track. I like the blue, yellow, and white. Other people do green, black, yellow. There's all different combinations. You can look those up online what you want. Tools, I have a variety of tools here that I use. The most important being a saw. You need a way to cut the boards to get them down to the right length for what you're making. Mine, I make anywhere between 28 to 36 inches wide. I prefer about 30, seems about right. I have one that's a little larger. It does allow you to nest them too if you do that. So I can put the little jump inside of one of the backflip ramps when I carry it out. Makes that nice and easy to do. So you definitely want to have some kind of a circular saw. So you also need maybe something like this jigsaw to get the curves on any of the ramps and also to get a nice clean cut in the corners. I'm not going for perfect here. I don't mind just using the circular saw. It makes a little bit of a T pattern, but some people might not like that. For what I'm doing, it's fine. You guys do what you want. I use a nail gun like this one here to just tack everything together. Makes it quick when you're working alone. So just kind of put everything together. Drill it in the end. That's what I'm using because with the impacts and all the hits, you're just going to definitely want screws in instead of just nails. And then you'll want some of these drill bits if you're going to do one of the backflip ramps that have the tires in them. In order to put something through it like this rod, I am using 3/4 inch PVC. Just bore a hole in it in the side, and I'm running this through to keep the tires from popping out all the time. And it just literally lets them hold in and hold it down. So, all right, so I want to match that backflip ramp that I already have perfectly, so I can have two of them if we do competitions or whatever that are equally matched. So I need to cut 36-inch 1x3s. I need 4 of those. I need one 1x10, that's 36 inches, and I need one 1x8, that's 36 inches, and a 2x4. So a 2x4, a 1x10, a 1x8, and 4 1x3s are going to be 36 inches, and that'll basically give me all of the pieces I need. Then I'll basically be taking them and putting them into this mold, basically on both sides. So we'll have a 1x10 bottom, 1x8, the 2x4 goes here, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our 1x3s going across to support the ramp that's going to go on the back of this. And so we'll get the measurement of that at the end when we go ahead. And I just cheat. I lay the board on here, get a mark on it, and then draw a straight line across. So we'll get to that later, but first thing I gotta do is cut a bunch of things to 36 inches. So let's do that. Although I will say that was a pretty straight cut. I'm gonna do it the same way. We're gonna make one mold here, and then so I basically marked 31 inches across. That's what I'm going for, and then we're gonna get our angle right on this. Alrighty guys, we're gonna find out what this angle here is, and we're looking at it opening up this way. This is the one that's traced off of my good one. So we go like this, and we'll see it opening up, and we go past 45 degrees is here, which wouldn't be a bad approach angle. We're going more upright and into it, and so I would say that's 50. We're right about a 52 degree angle there. I find my 50 is here and mark my line there. That's my mark for the 52 angle. I just cheated everything on this when I built it, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. We're just going to kind of look at it, line up our corners here, and I'm just going to trace my line. Pencil's not helping me out here. There's my line, plus some. All right, we're going to find straight up and down with this again, and it's right pretty much at that spot there, and that's where we're going to meet this board up with it and try and keep it going straight up and down as well. There we go. There's our face right there, and then we're going to measure across. We need to take our 2x4, and this is going to tuck in here behind that other board. So we still need to have one here, right? So we find our line. And that's how I measured out how far I was going to go across. Get our line there. Use this guy to square that line. Right? Is the length of these two boards across. So we're basically looking at like 4 1/4 inches across. That's what our top is going to be. And so that ends right there. Then I wanted 31 inches across, which is actually all the way. This is 31 inches, this board as is, where it's cut. I got lucky. So what do we do for this next part? This is the part where I say you fake it till you make it. So I'm going to draw my straight line to the corner, just to give me an idea. And then I'm just going to kind of give myself an angle here. I'm not very good with the jigsaw anyway, so I want to be gradual, then kind of increase. But at this beginning part, I want to have a very gradual take into it. That's feeling pretty good. And once I cut this one out, I'll use it as a template to trace my other one. I don't feel like the top had enough slope to it. All right. Now, time for the jigsaw. Did not get the line I wanted. Now we got a good curve. Quick lineup, these go on there pretty good like that. We're gonna call that good. Put it down to the ground now. Tacking things into place. Seems that my video stopped recording and I had to use my GoPro footage right here, but hopefully that'll work. It's the one bummer about filming projects and yourself and not being behind the camera. All right, so the next part that I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and nail everything together. I do use a nail gun to tack it all together, hold it in place, and that'll help us to get through this easily. And then we're going to screw it all together at the end. But we're going to start by lining up our 1x8 and our 1x10s, and we'll go ahead and get the faceplate tacked in here. We'll grab our 2x4, put that in there, and basically just nailing it together. Right on. Carefully hold this all together. Flip it over. Now I gotta layer other top on. Pull all this together. Make sure everything's fitting together well. We're just gonna see how it sits on the ground here. So next, we're gonna grab these guys, measure them for in here as our braces. You're just gonna line them up with the face, where the jump is gonna go, and about the angle as well. So try and match that curve. And this one, we're gonna want to butt up as close as we can to that 2x4. Either want to put some kind of bracing along this edge or between it spanning. So I do have this little cutoff that I have. Maybe I'll just put this in here. But once you put the face on it too, that'll really help make that more secure. You could pre-drill these if you want it cleaner. Again, I'm not trying to win any awards here. I just want it to hold together. Try not to go so hard that it's going through the board. Just enough to snug it, and then I'll go back and sand down. Yeah, it's pretty tore up looking, but it's all right. It'll look like the other ones when it's done. The paint hides a lot of things. You could use thicker plywood and things if you want it to be more durable. I just want mine to be lightweight. So it won't embarrass me if it doesn't look good, because I'm not a woodworker. I like that curve or not. It's quite a curve. So we want to see which way our grain is running on here. Looks like it's this way. A lot easier to get our bend this way than across it like this. Doesn't want to bend. So we need our 36 1/4 to be across this way so we can get our bend with our jump. All right, so 36 1/4. What I like to do is actually just line it up on here and just push it down and get my measurement there. Right there. All right, got a mark. 25 1/4. I'll see how it looks. That looks pretty money to me. Pretty money. Right on it. What I'm gonna do next is mark where my boards are. In the middle of it is where I put my screw in. So it'll help me know where to line these up. So I'm just going to draw lines across this now. The last thing that I like to do is go inside now with the grinder and grind off all the screws that are popping through there. And the last thing to do is we're going to prime it. All right, and the last thing to do is we're going to prime it. They're backflip ramps. The trucky backflip, they're pretty cool. All right guys, so that wraps it up here on the ramp building. I'll go ahead and put up drawings for these. It'll give you the side dimensions as well as what size boards I used and cut up. That one you just saw me make, we'll put that dimensions up as well. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a whirl, test it out, see how it's doing before we give any dimensions on that. And if you wanna try and do the other backflip ramp with the wheels in it, I'll put up a little bit of video showing you kind of what I use for that so you can kind of mock your own up. Again, it's just a lot of playing, guys. You start with the right pieces. It should be easy enough to do. I'm just faking it. Most of what I'm doing here is just, you know, screwing a few boards together and putting supports in and trying to get the right angles and, you know, right heights and things like that. So anyway, hope you guys have fun. Let me know how your ramp builds go. We'll catch you guys in the next bash video. See ya. All right, so the first one up on the table is this little kicker. Send it guy. I made out of that thin plywood piece of underlayment, like I've used to make this cut out of, is what I've made these faces out of. So I cut them 8 inches tall, and I did that front and back, and then I'm actually using a 1x8 on the top as a support to just kind of really stiffen this up. And then the sides are actually on this one using a piece of plywood that I had laying around. If you look at the inside, you'll see I have a 1x3 support in the middle. And then I have some just cut off pieces. Here's two 1x3s as backers on the bottom side. Just because this underlayment is so thin, I'm getting the extra strength from that. But it allows me to make the shape whatever size I want. And you can have gaps in it and it's just fine for support. But this is like 1/4 inch plywood on the sides. You could use 1x. I was out of them when I built this. But probably what I would do is use a 1x8 or 1x10 that I would cut to this shape here. My stickers are peeling off. So the bottom of this is running 19 inches from corner to corner, and then the top is 7 inches. So 19 and 7 is 12-inch difference in order to get this pop. The height of this is 5.5 inches, so it'd be more like a 1x6-ish size. But you can use whatever and cut it down. I didn't want it to be too tall because I wanted the trucks to just hit, and when that suspension would compress, it would pop. So I kept it low. Also, because if the truck was riding in a wheelie, I wanted it to be able to hit this face like so and pop it into a front flip. It's kind of the idea behind this particular ramp and why I built it like I did. So, and the easiest one to make that I see a lot of people doing, I wanted my angle so that when the truck hit, it would ride up before hitting this and starting to pop backwards, and then use the momentum of the rear wheels to flip it. This thing does awesome. These dimensions work great. So if you're interested, what I did is I took a 1x10 as my bottom board here. So you can see it's 9.5 inches, basically. Some of it goes underneath, which is fine. So basically, we've got our 1x10 sitting here, and then we've got our 1x8 here. This one's a little taller. You could do it taller, it'll work just as good. It'll make your jump a little bit higher, which will make it send a little more, so you'd want to make it longer if you did that. Otherwise, your ramp is just going to be straight up. Anyway, just faking it, guys. You can see mine isn't perfect. It's got spots where the nail, the screw popped out boards, but it works awesome. Even up at the top here, you can see how I was faking it. You know, the boards don't necessarily line up exact, but it's enough for me to screw it together and hold it together. It's not perfect. The paint covers up a lot, and when it's out there for videos and stuff, it just works. So I wasn't going for extreme perfection. You can see the 2x4 sitting on top of it. All right, inside here we'll adjust our exposure. You can see I've got 4 of the 1x3s on the inside, and I've also got them running on the side here just to give a little bit of support because it's kind of a flimsy board. You could run a 2x4 spreading between these to really stiffen it up. I didn't because I wanted to be able to nest this one inside. So when I carry it out to the yard, it just drops inside like that. So this one, the full width of it is 36. So I did this one 3 feet. Because I also want it to be a send-it ramp, you got to think about that. When you're trying to approach it and hit it, if you're trying to carry speed, if it's too narrow, it can be really hard to hit, especially if your ground is uneven like mine and the truck gets upset on the approach. You want to have a little bit of extra width for it. With this one, I'm usually not going super fast. This one's only 30, 31. So I probably cut these boards to 30. That's what I did. So my inner boards are 30, and I'd cut all those off to match each other and then just put the ends on. Super simple way to do it. So that's basically the process there. I'll show you some of the measurements of this one before we move on. So it's 36 inches wide, and I'll have a diagram of these that I'll post. You guys can click the links on to see the measurements of everything. This one's a little bit more intricate, took a little bit more work to do. Again, 2x4 on top, I've got a little spacer here so I can grab in behind it and carry it. So there is a gap up top. What I did was I just measured that out because I want to make sure I had room for the wheels, but I also want to put some boards in between and behind so when this hit, it wouldn't push in too far. It can move some, but there's a backer board in behind this that keeps it from going in, and there's one also underneath it. So I have like an L shape on the inside of here behind these. So I cut a bunch of them 30 inches, and then I just screwed these side panels on. So let's take a look at this. We got our 1x8, 2x4, and then again, these side panels are just made out of this here, which I basically did the same thing for. Although I used a smaller board, you could do this with the 1x10 if you wanted to mess around with it. So I did that, then I put my wheel on here, did the cut around because I knew I was going to have to put a support here, plus I wanted it to capture the wheels side to side so that they wouldn't come out. And then basically, once I built this whole thing, then I worked on getting these wheels to sit in here. And then took my drill bit, bored my hole in here to get this tubing through it once I'd done my measurements. Inside of it, because this one does have more supports in it. All right, so we're gonna overexpose so we can see the black in here inside the shadow. This one does have a support brace across side to side here because it's so thin. And again, I have 3 1x3s just spaced wherever you want, about as far down as you can go without them hitting the ground and sticking out of this edge. And then up here's where I have that extra one underneath the wheels, and then one behind it that would keep them from going back too far. But so it's not perfect, but they tend to live right about here. It likes it. It hits it. It'll knock them in like so, and everything's firm. But it does have a lot of give in it. And so that's why even though it overhangs, with that give, it just sends the truck around very beautifully.